Today I'm out on the old 20 Mule Team Road. You've heard me mention 20 Mule Team Road many times in some of my videos, but it just occurred to me that there might be a few of you who don't even know what I'm talking about when I talk about the 20 Mule Team Road. So I'm going to give you a brief description of it. This is an old trail right here that when they found borax in Death Valley. I forgot the year now, but they found borax, and they had to get it to the trailhead or the railhead at Mojave over here. That's we're talking 100 and I don't know 150 miles anyway. And they had to get it to the trailhead, so they built these big, huge wagons, and to haul all of this ore to the rail station. And horses wouldn't do the job because they didn't have the stamina that a mule has. So they used mules. They used 20 mules and 2 horses. And why they used 2 horses is another story. I'll tell you about that another time. But anyway, so for about 4 or 5 years, they went from the town of Mojave to Death Valley, towing these big wagons. And this was the trail that they used. You can see the indentation here. And it runs straight to a landmark out here called Pilot Knob. Pilot Knob is maybe 40 miles, 50 miles out that way. And they could do about 15 miles a day. 15, sometimes 20 miles if they're in the flatland like this. And then they'd have to set up camp. And they generally set up camps at places where there was water. Blackwater Wells is out there ways. Blackwater Wells is fairly close to Pilot Knob. And that was one of the rest stops. So anyway, on this road was where these wagons traveled. And it's got a pretty good indentation here, you can see. Now, later on, they had another road runs along here. That is just a dirt road because cars couldn't fit down in this anymore. They didn't like being in the gully. But after about 4 or 5 years, they found a new deposit of borax a lot closer. It's only about, from where I am now, it's only about 30 miles, 35 miles over here in the little town of Boron. Boron was named for the borax mine that's out there. Big open pit mine. Anyway, so they stopped hauling the ore and they put in a rail station, a railroad line to haul the ore. So this was pretty much abandoned, but for years it was used just as a transportation road with cars and freight wagons and whatnot going from Mojave to Death Valley and some of the other places that are out here. Randsburg is over in this way a little bit. So this road was in use for quite a few years, and I've metal detected out here before, and I've found some pretty darn interesting things. Old spark plugs from the 1920s for cars, funny looking tools, rivets, ox shoes, horseshoes, all kinds of stuff. So today I'm going to try it again, and maybe you in the future when I mention the 20 Mule Team Road, you'll know what I'm talking about. Before I start with the metal detecting today, I thought I'd show you a couple of pictures of the actual 20 Mule Team itself. Of course, this is a mock-up here. The mules are a mock-up, but the wagons in this photograph are some of the original wagons that actually traveled this road for the 5 years that they hauled borax from Death Valley to the railroad station at Mojave. This display is at the Borax Visitor Center, located on a hill above the actual open pit borax mine just north of Highway 58 at Boron, California. It was very important to take good care of the mules and the horses on these trips. A round trip from Death Valley to Mojave and back was approximately 20 days. This rear tank here was a tank wagon that held, I believe it was around 1,600 or 2,000 gallons of water. And then, of course, when they made camp at night, hay and oats or whatever food for the animals was already stored by other wagons coming through, supply wagons. The second two wagons are actually ore cars, and all of these were built at the small railhead at Mojave, California. This sign just gives a little more explanation of what the display is. Many people have never heard of the 20 Mule Team. Actually, anybody over the age of about 55 or 60 will remember the TV show Death Valley Days, which was on the old black and white televisions way back in the 50s. And it was the story of the 20 Mule Team and had stories of Death Valley. An interesting side note is future President Ronald Reagan was often featured on Death Valley Days, and he was also an actor on that show. This is just a close-up of one of the huge wheels on one of these ore cars or ore wagons, and again, all of this was built in the railhead town of Mojave, California. This is the Visitor Center building located on the hill above the open pit mine. You can go around back of this building and look down in the mine, which is roughly 2 miles long, 1.5 miles wide, and about 1,000 feet deep. You can get in here anytime you want. There's no charge to go in here and visit this. They do accept donations, but there is no charge, and it's well worth paying a visit to the nice folks at the Visitor Center. Okay, now that you know what I'm talking about, it's time to get back to metal detecting on the 20 Mule Team Road. Okay, I've only covered about half an hour and maybe 40 feet of this trail, and you can see all the places I've dug so far. There's just so much stuff in here. A lot of it's trash. In fact, all of it's trash. But this is as far down as I went. There's a spot there. This is as far down as I went right here. It's getting rather warm out here today. The desert is starting to heat up. Here's a spot here. As you can see, this is all I've done right here. We're not talking about a great deal here. We're talking about 50 feet, 40 feet, or something like that. But I will show you what I did find in here, and I'm going to have to call it quits for the day. I've been out here half hour or so, and getting kind of warm. So I'll show you what I got so far, though. Since this is close to a bombing range, strafing range, here's another 50 caliber shell dated 1943. Found a couple clips for holding them. Piece of shrapnel. It's from off a bomb, exploded bomb. And this is a fin off a bomb, marker bomb. Found a lot of 22 shells. I mean, this AT Pro is really going down there and find. I don't want to dig this stuff, but you just never know what this stuff's going to be, so you got to go. But I did mention that they use this for automobiles, and here's I found this light bulb, the end of a light out of a car. You can see it there. It's crushed up, of course. But that's an indication that they did use this. Cars did pass down here. And I found one bottle cap. Pretty old one, too, at that. So with that, I'm going to call it quits. It's getting too hot. I want to mention one other thing. If you look out here, this desert now, we've had so much rain this year that the desert is green. Normally this is all really, really brown out here. But it's all nice and pretty and green and lots of flowers blooming out here. So kind of nice to be out here, but you got to watch out for the snakes. The Mojave green rattlesnake is out here, and it's hard to see them in that grass.